Shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video giving out praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shabbat, Hashem Rakak, with dash double honors to the elder apostles, elder bishops of GMS, great millstone that rule well and teach well while learning truth, 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophet, servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. Shalom to you, Akwaf, which are you few sisters out there that are seeing your children. Shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to be a World War III news update. And it's basically going to be touching just on the latest news of events, of things that you have ultimately transpiring at this current time. And this is new from, as you can see on this title that I have. It said China loads over 100 nuclear ICBMs into silos. And we're going to actually allow a little bit of this video to play, and we can get more context, and then I'll grab a few precepts and Lord's willing to be edifying. But with that being said, fair use. I'm not getting paid for this video. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use.
Red Dragon loads over 100 nuclear ICBMs into silos. And we do have some more breaking news. Look at this one here. The Red Dragon calls out the U.S. president over U.S. oil tanker seizures. All right, so we're going to see what's going on here, guys. 100 nuclear? That's some serious stuff there.
Right, but you hear what it is the guy said just for the little bit of the video. I did a lot of play, you see, and you basically got China, coming out and, calling out Trump basically for, the 3 oil tankers that they actually seized off the coast of Venezuela, you see, and you also got them preparing and, setting up their nuclear missiles and getting them prepared, because we understand and know that, hey, we're living in a time of war, man, and that's what's coming, right? The war of all wars, which is going to be this third world war, which is going to be nuclear, right? As it tells us right here, this is Isaiah chapter 9. In verse 5, it says, for every battle of the warriors with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, right? But this, right, talking about this third world war shall be with burning and fuel of fire, which is talking about the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? That's why it's no coincidence. You got all of these countries loading them up, talking about them. You see, the Lord is the one that's putting the spirit on these nations ultimately to discuss these bombs, man, and ultimately to keep bringing them up in every situation that occurs. Every time there's a discussion about war, you hear these nations, whether it's China, Russia, America, North Korea, you see Israel, Iran, they're all talking about missiles, man. You see, because, hey, these bombs going to be used, man. That's ultimately why they're in the earth, you see. And as it tells us in Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart, meaning the leaders, their minds is in the hands of the Lord. After rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is the one that's putting the spirit on China and these other nations to, get their missiles prepared, man. Because, it's going to come a time very soon where these things going to be used, man, as ultimately things progress more and more, right? You see, so bear with me while I actually get into the video, and we'll actually allow a little bit more of it to play, right?
Dragon, China, the Red Dragon has probably loaded more than 100 of its nuclear-armed solid-fueled DF-31 intercontinental ballistic missile into 3 silos field near its border with Mongolia. A new draft Pentagon report says, according to Reuters. The draft report, which could still change, also asses that the Red Dragon does not want to have talks on arms control, Reuters reported, as he hoped for by the U.S. president, who is pushing for denuclearization with Beijing as well as the bear in North Korea. Once again, Newsweek has contacted the Red Dragon Embassy in Washington, D.C. for comments. All right, so this is some serious stuff. I want to show you this picture really quick here.
Right. And you hear what it is he's talking about, and that's Donald Trump, you see, trying to discuss peace and talking about bringing denuclearization to these nuclear armed states and thinking that they can put away the bombs and, basically to stop making them and things like that. That's what Trump ultimately is pushing for. But we know that won't happen, man, because, hey, we ain't living in a time of peace, man. You see, these bombs that are in the earth, hey, they're going to be used, man. You see, and ultimately these devils, they can't stop prophecy, man. You see, they're thinking that ultimately they can try to, derail ultimately what the Lord is going to bring, man. You see, thinking that they can ultimately stop this third world war from coming, because you got to remember that earlier on when Trump was actually talking about World War III, when he was over there giving a press conference over there in the land of Israel. This was a few months back, you see, and he was basically talking about how they're going to, stop World War III from coming, right? He said if we're smart, then we can ultimately stop it from taking place, which you can't stop nothing from taking place because it's all the will of the Lord and everything is going according to prophecy. And these things will happen, man, right? So I'm actually grab a precept touching on that. You see, ain't no peace coming, man, at all. Only thing coming is destruction. You see, to this place, America, Babylon the Great, and ultimately to Esau's rulership, man, it's getting ready to fall. It's getting ready to go down. You see, and these devils understand and know that, right? That's why you hear them keep talking about peace deals and bringing peace and all of this stuff like that, which it won't come, because, hey, the Lord is going to crank this war up, man. And we're seeing the tensions only continue to escalate more and more between all these nations, man. You see, because we know that, hey, America is going to be target number one when these missiles get shot off and used, man. You see, the Lord is going to put the spirit on these nations, right? Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, America's own allies, and they're going to shoot those missiles over here to this place, man. That's why Trump is so adamant on trying to, bring peace, you see, which peace won't come, man, right? As it tells us right here, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and the KJV. And it says, verse 1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven, right? So everything that happens in the earth ultimately happens at an appointed time that the Lord allows for these things to take place in. Everything has a season. This is verse 8, which is the point of what I want to get to. It's at a time to love, a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. Yeah, man, and we in a time of war. So ultimately, yeah, there ain't going to be any peace deals. There ain't going to be any, stopping, the nuclear bombs from being built and, silos and things like that this devil is ultimately trying to, think he can bring about happening, man. It ain't going to happen because it ain't the will of the Lord. You see, it says how the counsel of the Lord shall stand, right? Which I'm going to grab that real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 46, and I'll start at verse 9. It says, remember the former things of old, for I am the Most High, and there is none else. I am the Most High, and there is none like me, right? Verse 10, this is the point. It says, declaring the end from the beginning. So the ending was already declared in the beginning. So this place, America's, is going to be destroyed. You see, there's nothing these devils can try to do to think they can alter that or stop it. It's going to happen, man. And this third world war is going to happen, and it's going to go nuclear, right? Nothing these devils can do about that, man. You see, declaring the end from the beginning and from the ancient time, the things that are not yet done, saying my counsel shall stand and I will do all my pleasure. And what is the counsel of the Lord, right? Is these prophecies, man, everything that the Lord is going to bring to pass, his words, right? Because we know also, as it tells us in Isaiah, right, 55, chapter 11, which I'll pull that up real quickly. And it says, I'll start at verse 10, you see. But it says, for as the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven, and return not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, right? Verse 11, it says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, right? And what is the word of the Lord? The prophecies, right? World War III is prophecy, man. It's going to come, right? Which we're already in the beginning stages of it. That's why we're seeing these nations, load up their nuclear missiles, setting up their silos, getting these arrows ready, because, hey, it's fastly approaching, right? It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, and shall not return unto me void, meaning empty, because, hey, the words of the Lord shall stand, as I just read, right? All of these prophecies are going to come to pass, right? But it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So, yeah, man, there's no peace coming, man. You see? So let me get back into the video, and we'll allow a little bit more to play.
That's the DF. That is their strongest equipment.
I want to make some cookies, but to be frank, I don't know how. I don't even know who Frank is.
Salakia, brothers, it's damn ass, man. All right, bear with me.
We've seen this many times. They do have the parade, and they bring that DF out there to the parade, and the U.S. keeps an eye on that. Donald has recently accused the Red Dragon of conducting secret nuclear tests and threatened that the sleeping giant would resume its own. Beijing denied Donald's accusation and said it upholds its international obligations on non-proliferation. According to the Missile Defense Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, think tank, the DF-31 is a three-stage solid-fueled missile with an estimated range of 4,350 to 7,270 miles. Man. The DF stands for Dongfang, or East Wind, and is also known by its NATO designation CSS-10. And first deployed in 2006, it now has three
Right. We hear what it is the guy's saying. He's basically just going into the model of the missile and, ultimately the range that it has and things of that nature. But yeah, man, you see, you're going to continue to keep hearing more and more about these missiles, man, as time progresses. Because, hey, we're coming into that time where, hey, they're going to be used, man, real soon, So let me grab this precept right here. I'm going to grab Jeremiah chapter 50, right? And I'll start at 13. It said, I started verse 13. It said, because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate, right? Talking about Babylon, man, America, because ultimately this place is going to, receive the majority of these missiles. All of these missiles that are being set up and that are being, ultimately armed at these times, a majority of them are coming over here to this place, America, man, right? Because we know the Lord is going to send 200 million warheads over here to this place, man, as, John the Revelator saw in Revelations chapter 9. That's what's coming to this place, man, right? Utter destruction. So it says, Salakia, because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate, and everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Verse 14, put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, which that's going to be all these nations, right? North Korea, China, Iran, and, Russia, etc., man, right? Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow, right? That bow talking about the silos, shoot at her and spare no arrows. The arrows being the ICBMs, the missiles, right? For she have sinned against the Lord, man. And that's exactly what's coming to this place, man. Destruction, right? You see, that's why these missiles ultimately were put in the earth, man, to be used at a time appointed, right? As it tells us right here. Let me grab Isaiah 54. Verse 16, it says, behold, I have created the smith, which are the scientists, right, that blow up the coals in the fire, which, the Lord gave them the technology to be able to split the atoms in half, you see, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. Whose work? The Lord's work, because ultimately these are the Lord's weapons, man, right? It said, and I have created the waster to destroy, man. That waster is that ICBM, and that's exactly what it's going to do in due season, man. In due time, it's going to destroy, man, you see. And bring down ultimately Esau's rulership, man. Bring down this man's queendom, right? So let me actually grab that precept since I said it, right? Jeremiah 50 and 25. It says, the Lord, right, all caps, the Heavenly Father, have opened his armory, right? You go into the meaning of that word armory on the blue letter, it goes into a magazine of weapons, which are these ICBMs, these arrows, these nuclear bombs, and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, right? His righteous anger. For this is the work of the Lord, power of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans, you see? So, yeah, man, like I said, this is what we're going to continue to keep seeing happening, as the days progress and as things continue to escalate more and more. We're going to continue to keep hearing talks about these missiles, and they're going to ultimately continue to keep showing them off and parading them around because, hey, we're fastly approaching that day, right? As it tells us right here in Malachi chapter 4, verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, right? And all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Yeah, man, and that's talking about the day these bombs get used, right? Which is coming, you see? So, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Not going to make it too long, just straight to the point. You see, Lord's willing to be edifying to you brothers and you sisters that come across it. With that being said, we're going to end the video giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shimi, Abashai, Shem, Rakak, Dash, and double honors to the elder apostles, elder bishops, GMS, great millstone, while learning truth, 100% according to the Bible. To the next time, shalom to the elect. Shalom.